Okay. You, Mike. Hi. Right.
So once we bring up the PowerPoint on this computer, where do we click to share that screen?
Oh, let me go full screen here.
Yeah, we don't need the camera, or I guess it really doesn't
Here.
matter.
Here. Yep. Multiple participants. So you have it on here, or is it this computer?
This is what's showing up there is on a separate computer.
Right,
It's
showing up on screen. Do you have the PowerPoint there?
No, the
No, it's on
PowerPoint's
that.
on this.
Okay, we run the PowerPoint from here then.
Yeah, that's what's on the screen.
Yeah, we're gonna have to turn the computer audio off.
So that's fine.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, we ready, Mike? Hi. Yeah, right there. I don't think we had any cab. I don't think Karen wanted to pay for any of that. Test 1, 2, test 1, 2. The clicker's not working. I don't know where do I point the clicker? Where do I point the clicker? All right. Got it? Okay. Test 1, 2, test 1, 2. Test, test. Some say love. It is the answer. I used to know the rose by heart, but now it's gone. Some say love is the answer. Yeah. Hey, Sarah, how are you? test, test. Let me know when you test. Test 1, 2. No. Test 1, 2, test 1, 2.
Hi, Liz.
Hi, Karen.
We're trying to figure out this technology and I have to unmute, I have to mute because it's going feedback here. But I hope you can do the introduction, so stay unmuted.
Okay, I sent it to both you and Chad just now, though, in case I couldn't do it.
Hi, good to see you.
Testing. Good afternoon, everyone. I don't have a bell to ring. We have most of our equipment and technology, so thank you to the CY Stephens crew here for helping out. If everyone online hopefully can hear me, are they giving a thumbs up maybe that they can hear me? Okay. Wonderful. Welcome everyone to the March 29th, 2021 meeting of the Rotary Club of Ames. We're actually partially in person and online, so this is our first ever hybrid opportunity to meet. And we do have a flag in the auditorium here. So we'll start by standing and talking our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. I am not specifically aware of any of our club members that might need an extra thought or prayer today. I do know that last week we mentioned Julie Huseman had broken her hip. So if you could keep her in your thoughts and prayers, Julie could use some of that. Anyone else that I'm maybe not aware of? Anyone want to unmute online and even try to speak? Allison? Absolutely. So if you're not aware, there was a tragic accident, Little Wall Lake, for the ISU Crew Club. And we certainly keep the families and those who we lost. There's 2 students that have been, I don't know if they found them both, and 3 made it, but all of them certainly could use our extra thought and prayer this morning. And for those of you that came here, wonderful. For those of you that don't feel safe coming here, that's wonderful too. We're just happy that we can accommodate everyone safely. So let's just take a moment. Okay, thank you. And we have a special treat today. We actually have a live welcome song from our music committee and Louis Bannett. And I'm going to back well away from the mic.
Welcome to all of you here, and welcome to all of you folks out in Internet Zoom land. Here goes the welcome song, and I'd like to have all of you here join in also. And we'll start right here. Welcome to you from Ames Rotary. Nevada, London, or gay Paris, from far off lands or the USA. We're glad that you are here today. Come back again whenever you're near. Join us and then we'll make it clear. Around the world you will always be welcome at Rotary. Thank you.
Thank you, Louie. So good to hear that in person. That's been a while. As far as announcements go today, just as a reminder, there's a district conference on Saturday, April 24th, District 6000 conference. It's easy to sign up for that on the District 6000 website. It is a hybrid meeting as well, but there are 140 in-person slots available if you're interested in attending at the Ankeny Marriott. And again, an option to sign up for the virtual meeting. Update on polio, great news. No new wild cases reported last week at all in the world. So we'll take that, take more weeks like that. And then just as a heads up, we are going to plan on resuming some hybrid meetings the week of April 12th. So I think that's a Monday. And our plan would be to be at the Gateway. We will have some type of meal option arranged. And again, just to accommodate everyone's wishes, we will have, I think, plenty of capacity for those who want to attend in person. RSVP would be helpful. And then we will have a Zoom option as well for those that just can't make it or don't want to. There's been some feedback, certainly heard and received, that even when we do resume full meetings at the Gateway or wherever that is, that we offer some type of virtual option and continue to record our meetings and put them on our YouTube channel. So that's news that we've heard loud and clear. So we'll hopefully be able to accommodate that moving forward. And now we're going to try something really tricky. We're going to ask Liz Beck to unmute online and introduce our program. And maybe we're not going to do that. All right. Liz, thank you for offering and being willing to introduce our speaker today. But then it's my pleasure to be able to introduce our speaker today. So we have one of our own, which is why we're here. And Tammy Koolbeck began as executive director of the Iowa State Center in August of 2015. She currently serves as executive director for Stephens Auditorium, and she is only the 5th director to ever lead the organization since the venues opened in 1969. She works for the Ames-based company VenuWorks, and she has worked in the venue management industry for over 25 years. Last week, big news, she was named one of 40 Women of Live from across the United States, Canada, and Great Britain. And this award honors women in the live entertainment industry who are affecting our business in meaningful ways, creating and executing new strategies, and ultimately finding success and achievement in what is a unique and certainly challenging time. And Tammy is now a 2-time honoree, having been named a Woman of Influence in 2010, so 11 years ago as well. So recently, I think that deserves a round of applause. So congratulations. She recently finished serving as the chair for the International Association of Venue Managers Board of Directors in July, and she's leading the association's federal and state advocacy efforts. And IAVM is an international venue management association with over 7,000 members across the world. In September of 2019, she was selected by Venues Now in its inaugural class of Venues Now All-Stars, one of 50 industry leaders who were chosen because of their ability to lead, innovate, and commitment to diversity in the live entertainment and venue management sectors. She current community involvement in Ames, which obviously includes her participation in the Rotary Club of Ames, which I'll touch on more in a minute, but also serving as Ames Community Arts Council Board President and she's also a KHOI board member. She lives in North Ames with her husband, Mike. Their son, Tyler, is a 2017 ISU grad, and family vacations keep her sane, hopefully more sane even after last year. And she loves a good road trip, whether it's for a concert, national park, or a baseball game. And I can just say she has been a very valuable member of your board of directors for quite some time now, and is doing tremendous work in helping Kelsey and the program committee line up some of these great programs. So please help me welcome one of our own, Tammy Koolbeck.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you. Nice introduction. I appreciate that. It was quite a surprise last week. Well, it was a couple weeks ago when I found out about the honor. So as Chad mentioned, and I'll talk a little bit about in my presentation today, I've been spending a lot of time advocating for the live arts, for performing arts and live venues. And so as we come out of this pandemic, Stephens Auditorium is, very important and a passion of mine, as you'll see when we talk about it, even though I've only been here 5 years, and making sure that the federal government heard from us and state government as well, how important performing arts and the live music industry is to our people. So I'll get started now. So I can't see the screen, so we're gonna hope, but I have a clicker. So we're gonna hope that everything works out. So the Iowa State Center began as a dream of James H. Hilton, who graduated from Iowa State University in dairy science and served as university president from 1953 to 1965. He proposed the idea of an educational, cultural, athletic complex at the 1954 Fall Faculty Convocation. Quick worker, president in 53, envisioning the Iowa State Center in 54. Did the slide change? Clifford Y. Stephens, another Iowa State University alumnus who was also in dairy science, led donations with $1 million gift towards the center's construction of a performing arts auditorium. CY Stephens' gift came from the dream that he shared with Hilton. He felt passionately that a person's first great need was the opportunity to get an education, and believed all students should have an opportunity to develop an appreciation for the fine arts, which he considered necessary for adequate living. By the time the groundbreaking occurred in 1965, Mr. Stephens was gone. He died in an automobile accident in 1963. Iowa State Center sits on 76 acres of land that used to be university cultural fields. When finished, the cost was $4,925,000, and thanks to Dr. Hilton's and Mr. Stephens' fundraising efforts, all funds from gifts and donations, the Iowa State Center was constructed without using any state funds. CY Stephens and his trust fund contributed $2.5 million. 13,000 cubic yards of concrete, 55 line sets. For those of you who are in the audience, you can look that way and see all of our line sets. And when the building opened, and look up too, so they're connected. And then when the building opened, it had 2,749 seats. We currently now have 2,602 seats, so 2,602 seats, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a bit. The stage is 80 feet wide by 50 feet deep. Height from main floor to ceiling is 60 feet, and the proscenium arch is 40 feet. At the building dedication on June 6, 1969, and it is Karma, I think, that was my 5th birthday. CY Stephens' widow, Mary Ann, expressed her hope that within the walls of CY Stephens Auditorium, countless persons will experience a newborn appreciation for the performing arts in decades to come. There could be no more fitting tribute to the memory of my husband, who discovered his love of theater as a student on this campus more than 4 decades ago. And of course, we can't really do a presentation without showing a flood. So in this year, we're showing the 1975 flood. There you go. Sorry about that. So this is the 1975 flood. I know Warren and a lot of people here that have probably been around for a lot of those floods, And then in October 2004, the American Institute for Architects, Iowa chapter, bestowed Stephens Auditorium with the title of Building of the Century for 1900 to 1999. More recently, USA Today named Stephens Auditorium the most amazing building in Iowa on college and university campuses. One building was chosen per state, and Stephens was the choice. Stephens is one of the few, if not the only theater to have a work of art as its main stage curtain. Silver Code was manufactured in Kyoto, Japan, on the world's largest continuous loom at the time. Largely an expression of abstract symbolism, Silver Code expresses the sciences and technology at Iowa State. It's 3,000 pounds, 30 feet high, 80 feet wide, and is taken up and down manually by 2 stagehands, sometimes 4 if they want it quicker. A lot of times you don't see it down when you're here for events, especially our Broadway and our larger contemporary shows, because we have equipment set where it comes up and down, but you will always see it down for Nutcracker. And then some of our comedians don't use as much sound and light. So we do try to have it down whenever we don't have equipment in the way. And then in 2015, Silver Code was restored by University Museums in a painstakingly detailed restoration process. And you can see now how those colors really pop. And then back in 2019-20 season, we celebrated our 50th anniversary with a series of videos featuring several people, a few that are here, Louie and Warren. Louie, you might have to redo yours and now say you've sung on the stage. And I don't know how it sounded on Zoom, but in person it sounded incredible. The acoustics complemented Louie's voice very well. So those videos can be found on our website, and there's also a place to share your stories as well. And then we've made several changes in the last few years to be more accessible and inclusive. A donor-led renovation of the Celebrity Cafe began in fall 2017 with replacement of all soft goods and furniture, and those are the chairs you're sitting in today. And in April 2018, the donor restroom was completed. And then in fall 2018, the addition of wheelchair seatings in rows 11 and 31, as well as removing row 12 to create an east-west aisle to save patrons and ushers the many steps that would take you up and down to get to the other side. So now on events where I might walk, I was walking probably 10,000 steps, I'm now maybe only walking about 8,000 steps because we can cut across. Another donor-funded gift added handrails in the loge boxes and balconies at that time. And then looking to fill a community need in January 2019, the Goldfinch Room was launched. Basically, we renamed the Celebrity Cafe, and in this space, we welcome Iowa singer and songwriters monthly to a listening room space for an intimate evening with the artist and the audience. Additional donor dollars paid for installing handrails inside the theater house, another longtime goal, and they were installed in March of 2020, right after we closed our doors. Those who came today, though, did get to use them when you entered the stage from the Southwest Tower door. So it's very nice to have that, those handrails inside to help with the steps. So for more than 50 years, since this magnificent venue opened, Stephens continues to deliver memories to our community. Helping to fulfill that mission, of course, is the Ames International Orchestra Festival Association, and we've been working side by side with them for 50 years. The New York Philharmonic played 5 performances, and every one of those concerts was a sellout. 13,745 patrons heard the orchestra, and that opened the building. Ticket prices ranged from $4.50 to $8 for the general public, and students could come for $2. When the New York Philharmonic opened Stephens Auditorium, it was the first time in its 127-year history that the nation's oldest and most prestigious orchestra consented to such a festival of concerts outside of New York City. "It's a hell of a haul for a cow college," was one Iowan's comment on opening night as he walked into the new CY Stephens Auditorium to hear the New York Philharmonic Orchestra. That was from the Minneapolis Tribune on September 13th, 1969. Whoops, I'm off one, sorry. People still reminisce about the wonderful times they had with the New York Philharmonic musicians, riding bikes, homestays and meals, and of course the softball game. Here's Seiji Ozawa is taking a swing. Not soon after that, he slid into second base, injuring his shoulder. He would conduct the next night sitting on the stool with his shoulder bandaged. And I think still today kind of talks about that. And IOFA has kept the dream of those early years alive by continuing to support and nourish orchestral music for 50 years. Stephens has been fortunate to host over 100 symphonies and chamber orchestras from across the United States and internationally. I had a chance in September of 2019 to go to New York, one of those awards that Chad mentioned. They had a reception for us, and I was able on that trip to go visit the archives at the New York Phil, and it was fantastic. They pulled out their file from Ames and Stephens Auditorium, the mimeographs of the contracts, handwritten notes that were sent back and forth via mail. And it was really incredible. We had planned a trip with donors in April of 2020 to New York, and one of our activities was going to be able to visit the archives. So I'm hopeful that we'll book that trip again in the future and be able to share that experience. But it was really special. I also got to see, conductor wands. I mean, it was a great experience. So we hope to be able to share that again soon. Sorry, operator error. Apparently I click too hard and it goes too fast. So, oh, yeah, there it is. All right. So we found this gem of research when we were working on the 50th. And written in the 60s, the statement echoes Stephens' importance to the university. So these were, I'll give you a second to read them because the next few slides talk about them. So Stephens remains committed to bring value to the education of Iowa State students. You've been hearing a lot about STEM over the past few years, over the past decade actually, and more recently a focus on STEAM, with arts being added in as essential to a well-rounded student. The same belief that CY Stephens had back in the 60s, right? So not only do we offer ISU students discounted tickets and prices to our performing arts series, including Broadway, we work to have agents and managers approve rush tickets on nights of show. And for many ISU students, they may not have had the opportunity to watch a show of national or international caliber before coming to Iowa State's campus. A few times a year, we have the opportunity for master classes with visiting artists, including Shattered Glass speaking to an entrepreneurial class in the business college, or the Russian ballet dancers speaking with students studying to be dietitians with their diet about their diets while on the road performing. And just about a little over a month ago, we hosted, even in these pandemic times, we hosted a virtual program called Dialogos with Ballet Hispanico. And Eduard Villaro, who is the CEO and Artistic Director of Ballet Hispanico, along with Brad Dell and Mary Beth, an ISU student. We did an hour-long panel discussion on systemic oppression in the arts, and it was really a great session. So even in these pandemic times, we are working to continue to service our students. There's an honors class, sometimes both semesters, that is team taught with Lori Lawn Steven and a Steven staff member. This project is actually courtesy or brought about by conversations we had with Liz Beck a number of years ago, shortly after I started here. So these classes spend 3 to 4 weeks watching shows and interacting with artists, touring the building, and then preparing a 5-minute report on their field of study, how their field of study interacts with what they're watching on stage. We've also formed an association with the learning communities, helping those students in these communities participate and enjoy live theater and performing arts. Since the program started in 2016, we averaged 10 to 15 learning communities annually. And the dollars for this program are funded by the learning communities and student government and Stephens Auditorium. We also are very much part of the campus with several annual events hosted by various colleges and departments on campus. And this list doesn't include some of those university events that pop up, including a Carillon concert a few years ago, the president's inauguration. Student Union Board is coming on April 23rd, bringing their Cyclone Voices here because of our space that we have room for. And we've gotten a bit creative this year. We had a blood drive twice, both in the fall and the spring, on the stage where you're sitting. We did a flu clinic, and of course we did the virtual announcements in May and December. And that kind of brings us to today. It's an unprecedented time in arts and performance venues due to COVID-19, as I mentioned earlier. This pandemic has wreaked havoc across Stephens Auditorium and the world, all shores and borders, with the inability to gather in large spaces with large amounts of people. So this study shows that 2.7 million jobs were lost in the creative sector, with 1.4 million of those being in the performing arts. $150 billion loss in services, and that has reached home here too. So for Stephens Auditorium, that meant that we had over $1 million in lost revenue just in the months between our fourth quarter, which would have been October to December. And then our first 2 quarters, actually that was from March. Our fourth quarter was April to July last year, and then our first 2 quarters as well. So that's lost revenue. We have contained expenses. We had 90% of our events canceled. We've done. So, sorry, I want to make sure I'm on the right slide. Yeah, we're still showing up every day. We put our heads down, we get the job done. We've pivoted a bit, knowing that large crowds will not be permissible for some time. We've also created our reopening plan, and we've been open since July, as well as our Cyclones Care messaging. Our capacity last summer was right around 500, and then when school came back in, we dropped down to about 150 to 200. And December, we went back up to 300. And in January, we went to 500. And starting April 1st, we'll be at 1,000. So we can do that because of the large amount of space. We do still require masks. We require physical distancing. So when you come in, every other row is blocked off. And then there are usually 3 to 4 seats between each person. So our Goldfinch room. The Goldfinch Rooms moved around a bit. So we lost our shows last March. So a year ago, we lost March, April, and May shows. And then we decided to move it outside to the Stephens lawn. And we learned how to live stream on Facebook. So we did socially distanced ovals, food trucks, cold beverages, bring your own chairs. We even decided to do the show the Tuesday after the Durate show. We had a number of people come because they could get a cold beverage, a hot meal, and use a toilet that flushed. So, which is rare that somebody comes to us because of our bathrooms. So that was really a special day for all of us when we realized that. And then we moved it back inside in February. So we just had our second one. We did February, March, and we have April and May coming up. So we formed partnerships too. We called Stan Raby at the actors at Ames Community Theater. When he announced that his show must go on, they were celebrating their 64 years. So he was looking at perhaps only being able to welcome in 30 people per show while he was doing construction. And so we met and figured out a partnership. We both went after some grant money to help fund that so he could use the big house. And we welcomed in about 100 to 200 patrons per show. And we did the shows that are on the screen. And then we have Full Monty coming up. And they were averaging more than they would have normally been able to put into their seating because they have about 140 seats. So it worked out very well. We also worked with, we made the decision early on, probably a year ago, August, that we would not be doing the Nutcracker. For those of you who might have been a parent during Nutcracker, it is a crazy backstage with costume changes, and we just felt like there was, with the information we had in August, that there was no way we would be able to keep people safe. And so we worked with Iowa Youth Ballet to come up with Sugar Plum Celebration. We made this decision in October when it looked like we could safely have people backstage. And instead of having 150 or 200 dancers backstage, we ended up with 85 and spaced them out. And we were very happy that we were able to bring back this holiday tradition even in a different format. So that was another partnership that we did. And then we did do some live streaming. So we did a couple around Christmas, and then we just got done with virtual with our Ireland with Michael virtual for a Celtic show, and we have Rock of Ages coming up. So these give, it's kind of a double opportunity. So we're giving artists a way to make their living, and then a portion of that ticket sales does come back to Stephens and helps us as well, with no risk to the building, which has been great for us just to get a couple hundred extra bucks for each of these, with the only work being done kind of marketing it out to the community. So perseverance. We're continuing to hold on. So after the CARES Act was passed, one of the programs in that was the payroll protection program. So VenuWorks of Ames was able to apply for that. And we received money that kept our staff paid, our full-time staff, and several of our part-time staff members paid through June of 2020. And then in December, the governor released some of the CARES Act money that came to the state for the arts. So the Iowa Arts and Culture Recovery Program, administered by the Iowa Arts Council, we received a $118,000 grant. The university received that, and that was excellent. It helped with cash flow. And then the Shuttered Venue Operator Grant Program, which is funded by the stimulus package that was passed on December 27th, VenuWorks of Ames will be applying for nearly $1 million to help with those FY21, which is what we're in now, the actual losses, expenses, and then it will also help us get through to December of 2021 because we are not expecting full capacities, yet we are going to bring back our programming. All right, so what's next? So we're continuing our dance competitions. We're having 1 or 2 a month. And so that helps keeps the lights on. We have some university events still coming up. We just finished Greek Week, two nights of Greek Week, Saturday and Sunday on this stage. And the students were just fabulous as far as masking and going single file where they needed to go single file. And it was really a great experience. The university has done a really good job of setting down the guidelines and making sure we keep everyone safe. We're also bringing Goldfinch Room, as I mentioned, on the Stephens stage. We still have 2 events on our stage here in April and May. And then in mid-May, we're moving outside and taking it back out to Goldfinch Room on the lawn. And we will run programming from May to September outside. We're bringing the 40th annual Nutcracker will be back. We're very excited about that. We were supposed to have celebrated 40 years last year, but we will now be celebrating it this year. And the 21-22 season will be back. So we'll be making those announcements in June. We're very excited. Our shows will start in October. Broadway, however, won't be back until 2022. So right now we have our first one on the book from January. I think that will probably move to March, but I think we'll have shows in February, March, and April. So for our Broadway, there's a lot of things that we're still working through with our bigger shows, Broadway being one of them, and some of our touring acts. There's a lot of talk about, do people have to be backstage, crew members have to be vaccinated. What are we going to look like for masking and physically distancing when we're actually setting up sets, because that makes it a little bit more difficult. So more still to come on that, but we're really excited to be, again, hoping there's no surge and that the vaccinations work and that people are choosing to get vaccinated and that our community is healthy. We are planning to be back for our 21-22 season. And finally, we have a mystery. So some of you are our donors and you might have gotten our Front and Center newsletter. We are trying to find out who the artist is of this 1970 watercolor painting that was done from Oliver. So what we do know is that it's a watercolor painting. We do know that somehow Northern Natural Gas out of Omaha was involved. Liz Beck already hooked me up with Reed Crawford, and Reed believes that Northern Natural Gas did commission the painting. But we're not 100% sure yet. We haven't found written documentation of that. We know it was commissioned from a New York City artist, because we had a student at that time, who was now an alum, email us and give us that information, that it was a New York City artist and that all the students posed for a photo, and that was what the painting was rendered off of. So of course, what we don't know though is the artist's name. So you'll see kind of a picture there of Sonia Barron, who's the Parks Library Collection Conservator. It was matted in what looks like to be burlap on the actual painting. And so we're hoping there's an artist's name that will be found underneath that. She took on this project in February, and we're hoping by the fall she'll have it completed, where there's quite a process to make sure that the painting stays undamaged while she's taking off the mat. So we're very hopeful. Our big our big hope is that we do own the copyright, so we can sell prints. The key is sell prints, and so we can raise a little bit of money. And so if anyone has any memories, I know Reed gave a couple names of who he thought the leads were, so I'm still chasing those down, but we'd love to have your help with that. And then finally, we can't wait to welcome you back. We actually took this picture in April of 2020 when we were still marketing, or just decided that we were going to move forward with our 2021 season, because we were sure this was only going to be a few weeks, and that by the fall, by October of 2020, we would absolutely be back to work. And that didn't happen. So, but we still can't wait to welcome you back. We still have some of these postcards left, so don't be surprised if you don't see a big old red mark and we just put 21-22 on it. So, but I think that's all I have. So the preview hopefully will be in June. Most of our 2021 shows are moving. Liz is on here. I haven't told her this yet, and I think John and Susie Sherholz are on here too. One of the events not returning is Capitol Steps. So they actually disbanded completely. They had been touring for over, I think, 30 years, and they did disband. So that's breaking news. But that's really all I can share about what's going to happen with the 21-22 season until we get it confirmed. So any questions? Any questions from the floor or via Zoom? Yes. All right, so the question from the floor was, who does our staff include now? Thank you. So we are down to 7. To reopen, we really think we need 3 or 4 more people. The departments that are covered currently are technical, programming, ticket office, kind of a half-time marketing position, and then kind of food and beverage in front of house. So food and beverage front of house is 1 person now, where we used to have 3. Marketing used to be 2.5, and we're at half. We have no outreach, and we have no development person. Well, we do. It's, yours truly. So I mean, we adapt. And so, we've been strangely very busy. Not strangely, we've been very busy because of the small staff, even with the fewer events that we have, because it really is all hands on deck for pretty much every show, which you saw everybody today. You saw ticket office and marketing welcoming you to the door. You see our tech crew here running the show, and our programming and our food and beverage in front of house are here too. So thanks, Allison. Oh. Yes. So, Liz, thank you. She actually sent me an email this morning saying, make sure you talk more about the Goldfinch Room, which I did not do. I forgot to do that. So I spoke a little bit about it, but Goldfinch Room, if you want to get on our mailing list, you need to let me know. So how we work that is, if you've been to a Goldfinch Room, especially when we were doing it in Celebrity Cafe and when we're inside on the Stephens stage, we only have... in the Celebrity Cafe, we only had a capacity of 80 people. And when we're on the Stephens stage, we've only got a capacity of about 60. Though we had 60 here a week ago, and I think I've got room for 2 more tables, so we could go up to 68. But so typically only those people on the Goldfinch Room mailing list gets the notice first. before it goes to Artist Fan Club, and then we open it up to the general public. And there's been probably at least 5 of the 12 shows we've done that never get to general public because we're full. So when we're outside, we have about room for 120, and we only came close one show last summer where we had all but one of our ovals full. And so if you want to get on that list, you just need to email me, and I'll put you on that list, and that way you'll always get notification first. But Liz is right. It really is. The story is I could never get into the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville. I tried every time I went to Nashville. And so we just created our own so I could go to listening room shows. And it's Iowa Singer-Songwriters. We do go regional. In fact, this summer with a grant from the Ames Ames Convention Bureau, their community arts program, community tourism grants, we are going to bring in, I think, four artists from other states. So we're kind of adding that, trying to put some heads in beds with some following of those artists. So we're very excited about that opportunity. Kelsey? Okay, so Kelsey's question was Goldfinch on the Lawn, is it appropriate for families and kids? Absolutely. We did have our artists for the first time. Someone asked me if it was a family show or not because she had a song she wanted to sing that might not have been family friendly. But on the lawn, it is absolutely perfect for families. We had kids there last year. We do have a no dog policy, though. I'm sorry. I know we have a lot of dog lovers. Jody Stumbo called and asked, and it's like with the food truck and the ovals, and the masks, adding, dogs was just not, and everyone's dog I know is very well behaved. But we just couldn't figure out, again, how to make that happen. So with Stephens on the Lawn, you are able to bring in your own food and your own beverages, except for alcoholic beverages. You can't because of liquor license. So we do have a food truck here, the Traveling Pig. It's just a really nice atmosphere. You bring your own lawn chairs or you bring your blankets. And it's just, it's just a really nice atmosphere. Anything else on chat? Well, I always like to end, I wouldn't be doing my job as development director if I didn't end with, if you'd like to support Stephens, we do have a newer fund that was, that the university put into place in the fall to help support operational expenses. So our Performing Arts Fund really just funds programming, and we couldn't use that for our day-to-day operations. So in, I think, September, October, the foundation and the university gave us a new fund called the CY Stephens Fund, CY Stephens Auditorium Fund. And we had about 100 donors to that fund. 60 were first-time donors, and we raised about $62,000. And we're using that to pay staff and cover equipment, any repairs. So that's been very helpful. So we appreciate your support. I know many of you are our seasoned subscribers. We hope you will feel safe enough to come back and join us. We take your safety very seriously. And thanks. I know I had my mask.
Thank you, Tammy. Great presentation as always. What a great asset the arts are to the Ames community. And it's amazing just to see how you dealt with the challenges that were handed to you and how you innovated. So thank you very much for sharing. For those of you that showed up in person, how's it feel? Good feedback, thumbs up? Feel safe? Good. So I would encourage all of you and anyone else, again, April 12th is what we're shooting for, to resume some hybrid meetings. And I hope that all of you would maybe reach out to some people, maybe that you haven't seen for quite some time. I know we've had consistently, for those of you online and those of you here, consistently 60, 70, even more sometimes, people participating in our weekly Zoom meetings, which is a tremendous number. But we were used to, 100 people every week out of our 170 to 80 club members in fellowship. So we're still missing a few of our friends. And can't say this enough, but if you notice that someone isn't online or you haven't talked to someone in a while, feel free to reach out to them or let us know so we can get contact information. But we'd love to see a lot of you back in person on the 12th. Next week, which will be virtual, we have Kelsey lined up Jason Parkin, who is a former meteorologist. If you recognize that name, he was a Channel 8 meteorologist. So he will be our program for next week. Again, next week will be a virtual Zoom meeting. And that's all I have today. So let's everyone stand up and we will recite the 4-way test. Good thing I brought my little handy card, so I should be able to have this memorized, but I always miss it a little bit. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.